to get tea. It's Stephanie White. She has had enough of what she has seen from the officials here today. Understandable frustration from Stephanie White.
Couple of possessions in a row where Leah Boston got the fouls. I thought the first one should have been on Howard. And then here, as Petty's in there, Hillman kind of tosses her to the side a little bit, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back there.
What's worse, stepping into Game 1 already missing 6 key players, or watching the refs tilt the floor against you in the most crucial moment of the season? That's exactly the nightmare the Indiana Fever were stuck in when they faced the Atlanta Dream. You could literally feel the frustration snap. Stephanie White lost it and grabbed a technical foul just for saying what every single fan was already screaming at their TVs. A team stitched together with tape and grit was left battling not just injuries, but what felt like pure officiating chaos. Was it really just bad luck? Or something that looked a whole lot closer to sabotage?
Caitlin Clark, Chloe Bibby right there on the bench. But then you have Sophie Cunningham, Sid Colson, Ari McDonald, all actually having to sit separate from the bench. You also have Damiris Dunn.
And here's the wild part. What went down in Game 1 has fans raging, players fuming, and the entire league buzzing with one big question. Were the Fever straight up robbed by the refs? Fans are debating like crazy, and it's only getting louder. Now imagine walking into the playoffs missing half your rotation before the ball even tips off. How are you supposed to compete when you're already shorthanded before the first whistle blows? That's the exact hell the Indiana Fever were thrown into. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 bodies missing. It was a full-blown crisis. You want to talk about brutal luck?
What the referees did, and I know why Stephanie White got a technical foul. Any coach that had to watch their team work so hard all season long, play through every single injuries. And the reason why they had so many injuries is because of
Caitlin Clark's groin injury already ended her season before it could even start heating up. Chloe Bibby's knee gave out. Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson were both sidelined with their own knee issues, and Ari McDonald went down with a busted foot. And just when you thought it couldn't get worse, less than 24 hours before Game 1, Damiris Dantas got slapped into concussion protocol. That's 6 players gone. 6 key rotation pieces ripped away, while the Fever were still expected to step onto the court against an Atlanta Dream squad that was fully stacked and ready to pounce. Tell me, how is that fair to the players or even the fans? Indiana had battled through this kind of punishment all year just to claw their way into the 6th seed. They fought through months of patchwork lineups, missing pieces left and right, grinding it out just to earn a shot at the playoffs. And what did they get for their fight? Not a clean slate, but another cruel twist that left them limping into Atlanta with more names on the inactive list than some teams even carry on their bench. And speaking of that bench, oh, it was something else to see.
Able to travel from a medical standpoint as well. So, I think having the whole group here, having those guys here gives us a little bit of a boost emotionally. And then having their perspective. You're talking about 3 point guards that are sitting on the sideline that can talk to our team in huddles, that can talk to our team, throughout the course of dead balls or when they come on and off the floor.
The Fever brought everyone, all 16 players, healthy or not, making a statement about unity. But at the same time, it showed the absurdity of their reality. There weren't even enough seats for them all. The front row filled up so quick that players in street clothes had to sit in a second row, literally behind their own bench, like passengers stuck waiting at an airport gate. That's when you know you've hit the injury lottery. When your team can't even fit on the sideline properly. Every playoff matchup has its swings, but nothing rips momentum away faster than a whistle that makes no sense. Indiana marched into Atlanta dragging the weight of 6 injured players, yet still came out swinging. They exploded with a 15-6 start, fueled by Kelsey Mitchell knocking down buckets early and Aaliyah Boston doing what she does best, owning the glass and shutting down the lane. The Fever were locked in, playing like a team that refused to let their broken roster write the script for the night. For a brief moment, it felt like the impossible was about to happen. A wounded squad daring to take down a fully loaded dream team. But then, the officiating started to suck the life right out of the game. Ryan Howard and the Dream suddenly found themselves boosted by whistles that popped up out of nowhere. Defensive stops that should have turned into fast break points, erased, swapped for free throws that gifted Atlanta easy buckets. Clean contests got flagged as fouls, and every time Mitchell or her teammates fought through screens to deny the Dream open looks, the refs blew it dead and flipped the play upside down. And here's the thing, it wasn't just one bad call. It kept happening. Over and over, draining the fire Indiana had built early on until their rhythm was completely gone. Lexi Hall became one of the biggest victims of these phantom whistles, getting slapped with a foul on Ryan Howard that left fans stunned because everyone watching knew it didn't add up.
Obviously, the injured players, they haven't been able to travel, some of them, but most of them are here now. Just how do they help kind of from a culture-wise and with, just bringing some perspective to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we miss them every day on the court. So to be able to have them we had our plane, in front of our plane, normally we have empty seats. It was filled on the way here. So, I mean, they bring energy, they bring light, they bring their vocal leaders, all of them. So to have them on this trip is huge. And I don't know how we're going to fit everyone on the bench. It's not that long. It's been packed recently. So I'm excited to see how we figure that out, but it'll be great to have them back with us.
Lexi Hall had been in perfect defensive position, nowhere close to illegal contact. Yet the whistle still blew. Coach Stephanie White instantly challenged it, and the replay proved what every fan already knew: there was no foul. But here's the kicker. She had to burn one of her precious challenges in the first quarter. No coach ever wants to use one that early, and by the second quarter, White was already out of challenges, just trying to protect her players from being buried under bogus calls. Later, White admitted the whole thing was beyond frustrating. Winning both challenges should have been proof enough that the refs were flat out missing things. But she didn't have unlimited do-overs. Once her challenges were gone, Indiana was basically defenseless against the whistles. And while the Fever were getting tagged for the lightest hip check, Atlanta's physicality went completely unchecked. Fans sat there stunned watching Brianna Jones throw an elbow into Brianna Turner or Brittany Griner body up Aaliyah Boston in the post. And not a single call came. The inconsistency turned every possession into a gamble. If Indiana breathed on someone, it was a foul. If Atlanta shoved, play on. That lopsidedness didn't just show up on the scoreboard. It chipped away at Indiana's focus, their rhythm, and their confidence. By the time the fourth quarter rolled around, the frustration finally boiled over. White snapped at the officials after Ryan Howard blatantly yanked Shea Petty with no whistle in sight. And instead of correcting the nonsense, the refs hit her with a technical. She basically got punished for saying out loud what every Indiana fan was already screaming at their TV. Odyssey Sims got slapped with one not long after diving for a loose ball. A play that should have been celebrated as pure hustle, but instead got punished like it was a crime. The whole building buzzed with chaos and the Fever bench looked rattled. Even Caitlin Clark, stuck on the sidelines but still present, stepped in to calm down her own head coach when Stephanie White looked ready to take things even further. It was a surreal sight. The injured sophomore, unable to even suit up, literally holding back her coach who had finally hit her breaking point. And while Indiana fought through the storm, Atlanta fed off it.
The injured reserves here with you guys, which last month, they just weren't able to travel. What does that mean to you specifically, just having them there?
Yeah, I was super excited. I think just looking at the injured squad in itself, they just have a lot of knowledge. And so for us, just being able to listen to them, taking what they see, because obviously just them watching is going to be a different view than us on that court. And so super, super happy to have them with us.
The Dream thrived in the madness, flipping that chaos into a third quarter run that stretched the lead into a mountain the Fever just couldn't climb. And when the final buzzer sounded, the headlines weren't about Indiana's effort. They were about the officiating. Fans were left debating all over social media. Did the Fever really lose to the Dream, or did they lose to the refs? But here's what matters. No matter how bad the odds got, Indiana never stopped fighting. That's the real story buried under the drama. When everything is stacked against you, how do you measure success? By the scoreboard or by the pride of refusing to back down? For the Fever, that answer was clear. And leading the charge was Kelsey Mitchell. She dropped 27 points, a playoff career high, while shooting nearly 50% from the floor and cashing in almost every free throw she earned. Whenever Indiana's offense looked dead, Mitchell forced it back to life. And she wasn't just scoring, she dished out 4 assists and even swatted a shot, doing everything possible to keep Indiana alive in a game that felt tilted from the jump. Lexi Hull chased Atlanta around screens, dove for loose balls, and brought that relentless energy that never shows up in the stat sheet, but you feel it the second it's missing. Even when her shot wasn't falling, she refused to fade into the background, reminding everyone that her value goes way beyond box score numbers. But while Hull was grinding, Atlanta was rolling out fresh legs like a new wave every quarter. Alicia Gray and Ryan Howard both dropped 20. Naz Hillman came off the bench and lit it up with 16. And Brittany Griner's sheer presence in the paint demanded double teams, creating easy space for her teammates to feast. The contrast couldn't have been more obvious. One team had weapons they could rotate in and out, while the other was just praying their stars could keep standing by the fourth quarter. Indiana shot under 35% from the field, and with Atlanta gobbling up rebounds after nearly every miss, the gap slowly started to grow wider and wider. And yet, here's the part that stood out the most. The Fever never folded. They fought to the very last buzzer, refusing to quit even as the numbers looked ugly. Because deep down, they knew the real script hadn't ended. It had just shifted scenes. Now the fight heads back to Indianapolis, their first home playoff game since 2016. That milestone alone gives this squad something real to believe in. The series isn't done, and the battle is only just heating up. It's no longer just about X's and O's. It's about whether Indiana's home crowd can bring the fire needed to fuel a season-defining win. The Fever haven't hosted a playoff game at Gainbridge Fieldhouse since 2016, nearly a full decade. And now they're stepping back onto that floor with their season hanging by a single thread. For fans, this isn't just another night of basketball. It's a statement. It's a chance to show the league that playoff hoops in Indiana still matter, and the hunger inside that arena is going to be impossible to ignore. The setup couldn't be scripted any better. This isn't a regular season grind. This is win or go home intensity. The Fever's last shot at extending their run comes with one brutal reality. They're still missing the same 6 players that left them short in Atlanta. Caitlin Clark remains sidelined. Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Ari McDonald, Chloe Bibby, all out. And Damiris Dantas, still locked in concussion protocol, waiting to see if she can even be cleared. That means Indiana is staring down the exact same depth nightmare. No safety net, no margin for error. And make no mistake, Atlanta knows it. They saw exactly what worked in Game 1, and they'll be looking to exploit the same cracks again. The Fever's only hope? That their home floor and their fans' energy can flip the script before the lights go out on their season. Atlanta's game plan was clear. Swarm the paint until Indiana's spacing collapsed. Force rushed jumpers and lean on a bench stacked with depth the Fever simply don't have right now. Shooting 2 for 15 from deep isn't going to cut it, and everybody inside the building knows it. Coach Stephanie White made the message loud and clear. If this offense is going to breathe, the ball has to move. Quick decisions, sharp passing, 0 wasted possessions. Because the Dream's size and length aren't shrinking just because the game's in Indy. The burden on Kelsey Mitchell is enormous. 27 points in Game 1 proved she's built for the moment. But if she's left alone again, Atlanta will trap her lanes and suffocate the offense. Boston will battle in the trenches. Hull will chase every loose ball, but someone else has to rise up as a legit threat. Whether it's Turner, Howard, or Hartley, somebody needs to step out of the shadows and give Mitchell the help she deserves. And that's where the crowd comes in. 17,000 screaming fans can't physically guard Ryan Howard or box out Brittany Griner, but their energy can shake the floor. Every Indiana bucket can feel bigger, every defensive stop can sting harder, and every Atlanta possession can feel heavier under that noise. This game isn't just about survival. It's about proving the Fever can take every punch, stand tall at home, and start building real momentum for the future. Nearly a decade of waiting, a season ripped apart by injuries, and momentum stolen by questionable whistles. And somehow, Indiana is still in the fight. Game 2 at Gainbridge isn't just another playoff matchup. It's a moment that defines how this entire run will be remembered. One game has the power to flip the whole narrative. Will the Fever crowd be the spark that keeps this season alive? Or will the Dream silence Indianapolis before the story even gets started? Do you think Indiana was robbed by the refs in Game 1? Drop your takes in the comments, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a second of the drama. Share this video with every Fever fan you know, and we'll catch you in the next one.